Hello there, it's Gabby here. I hope you're well. In today's episode, I'm going to talk about nutrition, and I'm going to talk really just about some basic principles. As always, I'm not going to tell you what you must do and what you mustn't do. I'm going to invite you to think about your nutrition. Is it serving you? How is it making you feel? Before we even think about nutrition, because some people think about nutrition like we do about going on a diet, that it's all about restricting what you can enjoy, foods that you know are not really healthy for you, but you love eating. And that's not really what I want to talk about today. What I want to talk about today is the process of healthy eating, some basic principles that will serve you well. But first of all, we really need to come from a place of doing this for love and respect and compassion for ourselves. This is not whatever your health is now, whatever your weight is now, whatever your issue is now. This is not about beating yourself up and looking with regret or any negative emotions, no guilt or no shame. Let's come to nutrition with fresh eyes, if you like. Let's think about this in a different way. Why don't we come to thinking about nutrition from a place of loving ourselves? From a place of nurturing ourselves, and in the way you would with a sick child. If you were looking after a sick child, you would lovingly prepare some healthy food for him or her, wouldn't you? So why don't we think about doing that for ourselves? Come from a place of loving yourself, giving yourself the right nutrition, not denying yourself the pleasures. If there's things that you really want to eat, how about just eating those things in moderation? How would that be? Okay. So the main three things I want to talk about. The first one is water. I remember years ago, a friend of mine went to see a nutritionist, and she was very, very ill, my friend. And after the first session, I rang her up and said, "Oh, how did it go?" And she went, "Oh my goodness, just for a whole hour, this woman talked to me about water and nothing else, about how I need to drink enough water. And I know that already." That's interesting. I said, "Are you doing it?" "Well, I haven't been, but I will be now." Well, maybe that was time well spent then. Because it sounds so basic, but so many of us are dehydrated. And so the most basic, easiest thing you can do to improve your health, improve your nutrition, is just simply up the amount of water that you drink every day. They say 2 litres is probably the average for most people, but you'll know yourself whether you need more. And you might think, well, actually, I drink tea and coffee all day, or I drink all sorts of drinks. But this is about drinking water. If you want to make it taste nice, you could make water for yourself with fruit cordial in it. You might want to actually put some slices of lemon, slices of lime, or some frozen berries that you can just keep in the freezer and just chuck into your drink of water every day. That is always a nice thing to do as well. And at the same time, we're thinking about increasing our amount of water that we drink. I'd also invite you to think about limiting the amount of caffeine, alcohol, and carbonated drinks that you may be consuming, because they have the opposite effect. The water, obviously, is hydrating us. That's what it means, water, hydration. But caffeine, alcohol, and carbonated drinks have the opposite effect, and they can make us dehydrated. So we might be thinking, well, I'm getting a big drink here, but you're not. You're drinking things that are actually going to dehydrate you. And that's not really for the good. There's a couple of books I could recommend to you, and one of them is written by a guy with a strange name, Dr. Batman Geldy. And he's written a few books about water, and he's done a lot of studies on the fact that a lot of diseases are caused by simply being dehydrated. And he did a lot of studies, not just reversing illness by treating people with adequate amounts of water, but also looking at preventing illnesses as well. But on a basic level, if you don't want to go into that scientific study, you can just think about trying for yourself. Try it for a week. Try drinking more water. Try drinking 2 litres a day. I know myself, I respond well when I do this. I can tell that I feel a bit more alert. We know that pain sometimes is caused by dehydration. Certainly a headache can be caused by dehydration. My skin always feels better when I've been drinking plenty of water as well. I feel like the toxins are being flushed through my body. Water is the stuff of life. And I'd ask you to think about, are you getting enough? So that's my first principle, is water. The second one is thinking about what you eat and trying to limit the amount of processed foods that you eat. Thinking about, if you're eating something out of a packet, what's in that packaging? What sorts of chemicals are in that food that you're eating? And somebody said to me once, think about when you go down to the big supermarket and it's usually a huge place. And there may be one little aisle that's the health food aisle. But what's the rest of the food then? It might be brightly coloured, it might be full of chemicals, it may be full of packaging. But if it's not health food, what is it then? Because I believe that most food is either helping your health or harming it. So let's make some good choices. Try and up the amount of raw fruits and veggies that you have. Pick something that you like. We don't want to make this again. We don't want to make this that you feel like you're being deprived or you feel like you're being punished. There's so many fruits and veggies. Find stuff that you like and fill up your plate with those. And try and limit the amount of processed foods that you eat, because if there's chemicals in there and you can't even read the name of some of these chemicals, you can bet your life that your body doesn't even recognise them. Try and have a variety of colours, and for me, I find this easier to keep a good variety in my diet if I sit down at the beginning of the week, usually on a Sunday, and think about the week ahead, what I've got on, where I've got busy nights or whatever, I'm working away, whatever I'm doing, planning out the food that I'm going to eat, and making a plan to include some things that I love, include some things I enjoy, and things that I know are good for me. Getting a healthy balance of all of those things. The main thing is, though, to enjoy your food. We are doing a loving, compassionate thing for ourselves by making sure that we're fueling our bodies with the right nutrition. My third principle is know your own body. What suits some people will not suit you. And so some people will say, especially if you're after a cancer diagnosis, well, should I go vegan? Should I eliminate dairy? Should I eliminate meat? What is the things that I should be doing? And unfortunately, there's no one size fits all. It's really getting to know what suits you, your own body. And I've got a good example of this. My husband, a few years ago, had a knee injury and he put a lot of weight on. He was really concerned about this weight that he put on. And he was in his 40s then. All his life, he had had brown toast for breakfast, which he thought was quite healthy. Then he would have a sandwich at lunchtime, and so maybe some bread in the evening as well. And when he put all his weight on, when he hurt his knee, he decided to try cutting out bread. And after a week of doing this, he could not believe the difference in how he felt. His stomach bloating had gone down. There's so many ways that he felt better. He felt like he had more energy, and he didn't realise he'd been eating this bread for years, thinking, well, that's just the way it is. And it was only because he eliminated that one food that he could actually pinpoint what it was. A lot of people, it really does help to keep a food diary. If you are feeling sometimes lethargic after you eat certain foods, it can become really obvious. For me, I know myself, if I eat a pizza, it lies so heavy on my stomach afterwards, so I don't eat that anymore. But everyone's different. I'm speaking to a friend this morning, Cheryl, who has just done some allergy testing, and she's allergic to Brazil nuts, bizarrely. So again, you would eat Brazil nuts thinking, well, these are a healthy thing for me, but for her, they're no good. So you can go down the route of going for allergy testing if you think that's necessary. But why don't you just start with a food diary? Just write down everything that you eat in a day and reflect on, how do you feel after that? Do you feel energised? Do you feel tired? Do you feel a bit bloated? Do you feel like something's not quite right? And when do you feel really alive? When do you feel nice? I know for myself, a good veggie stir fry is one of the things that I absolutely love. And I always feel great after I eat that. And there's certain things I know make me feel better. And I just eat more of those. I just incorporate more of those things into my life. So how about getting to know your body, what's good for you? And one of the things that really stuck with me when I did my nutritional healing training was the 80-20 rule. And so we all know that there are foods that are a bit naughty, a cream cake or an alcoholic drink or whatever it is. And if that's one thing that you love and you live for the weekend, well, keep that treat. We're not saying rule out treats. Nobody would say that. You don't want to be depriving yourself. But keep it for a treat. Don't be eating things every day that have little or no nutritional value and expect yourself to be healthy, because that's not going to happen. But let's be kind to ourselves. Let's have the occasional treat. I love cake, birthday cake. I'm never going to say no to that, but I don't eat that every day. But when I do eat it, I enjoy it and it's a treat. And so I'd invite you to think of that in the same way as well. Enjoy your food, enjoy your nutrition. If you've got any specific questions, get in touch with me. I know a lot of nutritionists now through the work that I do. There's always somebody who's got an answer to something. So if you'd like a question answered, please get in touch and I'll see what I can do. Thank you so much for listening. Stay safe, stay sane, have a brilliant week. Speak to you soon. Bye bye.